What's up, guys? Welcome back to Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho. Thank you so much for watching. And guys, today we are talking about Jonathan Adams out of Arkansas State. And guys, this is a requested video from Dre Mason. Thank you so much for bringing this dude to my attention. Really fun guy to watch from a small school. I didn't know anything about him. I'm excited to talk about him today. We're talking about a big guy, right? A big physical receiver, 6'3", 220. He's put on a show last season, over 1,100 yards, 12 touchdowns, just absolutely ridiculous numbers in the 2020 season, which was already so tumultuous. Let's get right into the skill chart so we can break this player down in a little different way. First thing we have to talk about is his route running. There was a ton of variety in his routes. That was like the first thing that really jumped out to me with his game in general, really, was just the different types of ways that he would set up his cornerback, the different types of ways that he would run his routes. And I mean, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say it was a like expansive route tree. It wasn't. Arkansas State did what they did, and you know, it worked for them. So he didn't run a ton of different routes, you know, go route, slant, fairly basic, I would argue. But what he did do, you could tell he put a ton of time and a ton of work into, because I felt he ran routes at a very high level. I felt there was a lot of precision and discipline to his route running. Very happy with that, and a very positive grade here at 6.2. Moving on to hands at a 6.6. Yeah, look, this dude, I mean, he's a contested catch monster. He's a guy who brings down everything, right? And I will say the only reason this isn't an elite grade, couple concentration drops. That was it. Saw a couple concentration drops. That was really my only issue that I had. Athleticism at a 5.6, very positive grade. That's a checks the box grade for me, right? Like, I think it's a positive athletic profile. You can tell this dude, I mean, he played every sport, right? He's got hops for days. Like, you can tell he probably played basketball all through high school. He probably played pretty much every sport all through high school, landed on wide receiver position because, I mean, he's just a physically gifted guy, right? The only question that I honestly had was, okay, how fast is he? And that can be a big question. Looked up his pro day, ran a 4.51 in his pro day. I mean, that was plenty of fast. I was worried. I'll be honest. I was worried. It's like, okay, is this guy have everything in the bag, but he's going to run a 4.65 and just not be that fast, or like a 4.7 and just truly be a one-trick pony? No. Not at all. Not at all. I mean, this dude, I mean, I think he can run every route. I think you could put him in slot and be a big slot. He certainly is tough enough and physical enough to do that. You saw him run a ton of slant routes and catch the ball over the middle plenty in college. So, you know, what he truly is, and we're going to get to it, you know, big body contested catch guy. I mean, we'll move on to quickness, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But talking about quickness, again, checks the box a little bit for me. I almost had this as a negative grade, and it was really just because I didn't see a whole lot of opportunity for him to show it off. But then, you know, the second game I watched, there was a couple bubble screens. There was a couple, like, you know, slant, you know, get the ball in space kind of situation where you could kind of see how quick and you know, just sudden he is. And I'm not going to sit here and say he'll break your ankles or anything, but he certainly has enough quickness for me. And I think that's a big grade. Like, for me, at 5.9 for the type of athletic profile and type of wide receiver that we're talking about, big bodied guy, contested catch, plays on the boundary type of guy. That's like the prototype of the wide receiver we're talking about. To have that type of quickness grade, super positive, because it adds to the different ways that I think you could play this dude at the next level. Contested catch at a 7.6. Yeah, I mean, listen, we can talk about every other aspect, but like, this is what this dude does. I mean, the amount of times that like I literally like got excited, physically excited watching him play, just has some amazing highlight reel catches. And I mean, just like one hand all the way top shelf. Doesn't matter that like the corner is completely grabbing and pulling him down, and just like the most egregious pass interference you could possibly imagine, and he's still bringing the ball down. Like, just awesome contested catch ability, awesome body control. I mean, just all of those things that goes with the boundary receiver, go up and catch it type of stuff. Yeah, he's got it, and he had to a lot, because his quarterback wasn't great, and his quarterback would literally just throw it in his direction, regardless of the coverage, regardless of like where he was in his route, regardless of really where he was trying to throw it. I don't know. Like, there was a couple of throws that was like, there's no fucking way that's what you were trying to do. but it wouldn't matter. He would still come down with the ball. It was awesome. Yak at a 3.6, definitely a negative grade. And really this comes down to, like, I can only grade what I see, right? And I didn't see enough for me to make it a positive grade. And again, this is a projection to the NFL level, right? Like do I really believe he's going to be a yards after catch guy at the NFL level? I don't know that he can't be, but I'm not sitting here saying that I'm confident he will be either, right? And that's where I'm at based on the games that I watch. And truly, like, hey, let me know in the comments if you watched every game and you're sitting here, you can show me like the stats that says, oh, he's definitely a yards after catch guy. Hey, that's fine. Like, I don't pretend to know everything. I grade what I saw. I watched 2 games of this dude, and I'm obviously a big fan, but I just didn't see enough there for me to make that a positive grade. Cuts and change of direction. This is going to be where I'm going to talk about one of my biggest issues, and that was his ability to break down and come back to the ball. It was just, he needs a little bit more suddenness, and I talked about on quickness, and like, I think he has that, and for whatever reason, I just think that aspect of his game was something he needs to work on. And he actually mentioned it. Like, when I looked up his pro day numbers, there was a quote, something along the lines of showing that like talking about the things that he'd worked on in the offseason, and that, you know, coming back to the ball and breaking down in his routes was something that he talked about. So I think this is something he's aware of. So yeah, it was certainly something that I noticed in his game that needed to be worked on. But I mean, it points to like his work ethic. First of all, his route running shows how much work he puts into his craft, and then to hear that quote also just it complements his work ethic more than anything for me. So certainly something he needs to work out. Sounds like he already has. Route tree I already mentioned. Contact balance, 6.9. This was almost an elite grade, right? Just a couple times where I felt like he got bumped off a route just a little bit here and there. I felt like, you know, like overall we're splitting hairs here, right? Like, this is very, very close to an elite grade for me. This is a very, very good grade. He will be a guy who, like, he's not going to get pushed around. This is a physical receiver. This dude, I mean, this is a man, and he loves the game of football. He loves the physical aspect of the game, right? You can tell in his blocking, which we'll get to a little bit later. But there were certain times I think like he was so focused on his route that a corner could maybe push him off or like get in front of him and bump him a little bit more than maybe you'd like to see. Again, we're splitting hairs, very minor thing. Moving on, I already talked about body control. There's really nothing more I can say. I mean, dude literally can jump 10 feet high and just stay in the air somehow. I don't get it. It's crazy. Release at a 4.2. This was also almost a positive grade. It's kind of similar to cut and change of direction. There was one issue that I noticed that made it a negative grade for me, and that was his ability to get off of that jab, right? The cornerback's playing press coverage, right? Gives that offhand jab, right? Gives that offhand jab, and what the corner's trying to do is throw the receiver off his route and force him inside, right? So what you want to see the wide receiver do is disengage from that jab very quickly, and then get on top of that route, get on top of the corner, and you know, get that outside release like he's clearly trying to do, right? And he does that. He does. Like, all of the things are there. You just like to see it a little bit quicker. I'd like to see him disengage a little bit faster. I'd like to see him get on the route, get on top of the corner, and create separation. Because when that jab doesn't hit, or when that jab is performed poorly, it can put the corner in a really, really bad spot, right? That's what you'd like to see, you know, a great wide receiver do, is put, you know, use the corner's move against them, right? So again, that was just something that I noticed. I felt like, again, a smaller thing that I think he needs to work with. I think just maybe quicker hands, the ability to just to disengage from that jab just a little bit quicker. Don't let it, you know, throw off your route as much as it did. Moving on to separation at a 4.9. This is a positive grade. I would wish it was a little bit higher. I mean, obviously with these boundary receivers, you'd like to see them create separation at the end of the route. What I chalk up a lot of it to, right? And you got to remember, I don't have the all 22 film, right? I'm watching the game, the game day copies, because that's all I have access to. So that's what I'm working with, right? And that can kind of be a detriment to me, because at times, if the TV copy isn't a wide enough angle, I don't get to see the back end of a route, especially if it's a go route or a post or anything. I don't get to see the wide receiver create separation if he is. So maybe he's creating separation at the top of his routes more than I'm seeing. But the reason it's not as positive as it could be, and the reason I want to give this kind of asterisk next to it, is because the quarterback fucking sucked. I'm sorry, there's no other way to say it. Quarterback wasn't good, And the quarterback, like the amount of times that Adams had to turn around and go back to the ball, or just like, you know, basically ruin his route because he has to stop and jump 10 feet in the air to catch the ball, because, you know, it takes away any separation that he may have had that I just didn't get to see. So I think he can separate. He has the athletic profile to separate, you know, runs a 4.51 as pro day, can clearly, you know, all those things are positive. Would I like to see a little bit more explosiveness out of his release? You know, I neglected to mention that, but that maybe could be another aspect to it. But at the end of the day, I think he can. I think this grade maybe could have been higher if I got to see the full picture, but I didn't. So I grade what I see. But let's move on to the thing that I think I like the most about his game, and it's just something that gets me hyped more than anything else, is his blocking, man. 7.1 for blocking, and like there was one play where literally running back breaks free, right? Like breaking down the sideline, Adams is running, and dude just blocks it, man, to the fucking ground and keeps going, keeps blocking for his running back down the field. 30 yards down the field, a wide receiver is pushing people to the ground. I love shit like that, man. I absolutely love stuff like that. He is a physical receiver. He is not afraid to get in there and fight and call and you know, make somebody pay, right? I feel similarly to like Tam Terry, Scary Terry from FSU. I mentioned a couple, I think last week I did a video on him. You know, it's the same kind of thing where he's just a ferocious blocker, and I feel the same way about Jonathan Adams. Like he's a blocker, and I love that type of mentality from the wide receiver position. Overall, guys, I look at Jonathan Adams as a guy who can do a lot of things, right? I think he has a ton of variety in the way he could be used, right? And now, overall, mostly used on the boundary at Arky State, but I certainly think there's a possibility of him moving inside and being that big slot at times, and being used in a lot of different ways. Proved it to me from the athleticism profile, proved it to me from the physicality profile, proved it to me from the just go up and catch it hops type of profile. Like all of those things are check plus to me. Like I don't get why he's not getting a little bit more buzz, especially for like the monster season he has. It's not like this is a guy who just didn't get the production but is still a really good player. Those guys exist, and those guys don't usually get the hype. But this dude had a ton of production. I still feel like I haven't heard anything about him. I wouldn't have known this dude's name if I didn't have Dre Mason in the comments getting me to watch this dude, and I'm super glad you did, buddy. Thank you so much. Super big fan. I think he probably does go 5th round. Just, you know, that's kind of the range. You just hope he goes to the right team that will utilize him and give him a real opportunity to, you know, show what he can do. And I think that's all he's got to do. Clearly has a great work ethic, clearly has a ton of physical talent to be really anything he wants to be at the NFL level. I really think that the sky's the limit for this dude. You know, I think he's certainly better than some of the bigger names that are out there. We'll see what happens. I'm rooting for this dude. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like this video if you enjoy the content. Subscribe if you think you would enjoy more, and check back more for more videos, guys. Peace.